Now open for public attendance in person. However, members may still join meetings remotely using our current teleconference process. As per Wheatland County Policy 7.13, members of the public are not permitted to speak unless the commission agrees to hear from them. If the commission agrees to allow the public to speak, the chair will call upon specific individuals at that time. Please note that this call is being recorded and will be uploaded to our website and/or social media. For any individuals using the conference call line, we ask that you mute your phone to eliminate background noise. Everyone has a right to be present at Municipal Planning Commission meetings. Any attendees that are considered disruptive to the progression of this meeting may be removed at the discretion of the chair as per the Municipal Government Act, Section 198. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding. We have an agenda. Is there any changes, additions, or deletions? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I move that they accept the agendas presented.
Thank you, Member Kester. All in favor? That is passed. We have the adoption of the unapproved minutes of May 13th, 2025. Member Link?
I'll move approval of the minutes as presented.
I will call the vote for that. All in favor? That is passed. We move on to development permits. We'll start with DP 2025-004.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Suzanne Hayes, Development Officer with Wheatland County. I have one application to present this morning. It begins on page 11 of the agenda package. The location plan is on page 25. It is located approximately 7.24 kilometers southeast of Rosebud, 1.25 kilometers south of Township Road 264 on the west side of Range Road 220A. The application was circulated to landowners within 1 mile, and we received responses from 4 landowners. A summary of the concerns and the applicant's response begins on page 46, followed by the full letters, if you care to read them. We did also circulate to agencies and internally. Beginning on page 21, I'll just summarize. Alberta Agriculture and Irrigation Licensing and Compliance Specialist said that there were a few things out of line with our requirements, which we covered with the applicant. One is regarding carcass splitting. He can only split in 4 quarters outside of a building. For anything beyond quarters, he would need a processing building. The other item was that the requirement to keep the purchased animals on site for a minimum of 30 days. The applicant confirmed the understanding of both and agreed to them. They also advised that an on-farm slaughter operation license was issued by the province on May 7th. And they advised the applicant that the provincial license is independent of the county permit and that it would be his responsibility to obtain it from the county. We also circulated to Environmental Health Services, Environmental Public Health of Alberta Health Services, and they just had some recommendations regarding that they need to meet, the applicant should meet all required construction and setbacks of Alberta Agriculture and Alberta Environment, that the owner ensure that the water well located on site is protected from any backflow and contamination, and that there is no requirement under their jurisdiction for the availability of washrooms, but it is definitely something the county can request the applicant to address. We circulated to the inspections group, who said that the private sewage standard of practice deals with human waste, so the hauling of slaughter waste and liquids and taking it to a Calgary landfill is nothing that they would regulate, and that the outhouse on site does need a private sewage permit. Internally, planning compared the application to the MDP and mentioned that the county should consider the environment and state of land in consideration of agricultural land use applications. The manager of operations said that a commercial approach application is required so that an inspection of the approach can be completed to confirm there are no issues with the approach condition and to verify any sightline concerns. And there were some concerns raised from landowners with regards to the intersection at Township Road 262 and Range Road 220. And the manager of operations said the sight lines appear to be adequate and the intersection controls are in place for northbound and southbound traffic. Agriculture and Environment Department said that the land slopes toward the Severn Creek. Animal waste must be managed properly to avoid contamination. Non-edible and waste parts are to be removed from the site after processing, minimizing potential contamination from the slaughter operation. On pages 26 to 28, we have the site plan and aerial photos. So here we see the Severn Creek meandering on the west side of the parcel, and then the parcel here with several outbuildings already constructed on site. There's an aerial photo. And I'll just give a few details of the application. There are a number of labeled photos attached to this report beginning on page 30, if you would like to look at them while I read the description. The application is for an abattoir that offers live animals such as cattle, sheep, and goats to be purchased and slaughtered on site. In addition to the requirement for a development permit, a slaughter operation of this nature requires a license from Alberta Agriculture for an uninspected on-farm slaughter operation, or OFSO. The business will be operated by a tenant who was issued an OFSO license from Alberta Agriculture on May 7th, 2025. The slaughter is proposed to occur in a designated area over a concrete pad. The pad is bordered on one side by a building. Once slaughtered, the animals will then be returned to the purchaser for further off-site processing. Depending on the size of the animal, it may be cut into smaller pieces while hanging before being provided to the customer for further processing in their own home. Anticipated volume of animals to be slaughtered will be 7 to 10 per week, 1 per day on average. The business will operate year-round, 6 hours per day, 6 days per week, depending on customer demands. The animals will be purchased mainly from livestock auctions or from other producing farms in the area. Additionally, the license stipulates that since the meat is uninspected, the slaughtered animal must be returned to the purchaser for consumption by their household only. A water well located on the parcel provides drinking water for the animals and water for sanitation of the knives and other equipment. Water will be pumped through a hose to the slaughter area where an outdoor propane burner will be used to heat water for cleaning hands and instruments. A standalone utility sink is located on the concrete pad for cleaning and sanitation. This was mandated after a provincial inspector visited the site in early April. The amount of water used daily is expected to be 15 to 30 liters. An outhouse has been constructed on site for use by employees and customers. The waste from the outhouse goes into a small holding tank underneath. Once the tank is near full, it will be hauled and dumped into the landfill in Calgary. As far as the disposal of non-edible animal waste, the applicant has provided a copy of a signed agreement with West Coast Reductions for pickup, processing, and disposal of animal byproduct materials such as bone and fats, meat scraps, and offal. The service includes the provision of containers for the purpose of storing these items prior to pickup. Fluids from the slaughter area will be directed to a drain which conveys the fluids to a bucket. On or after the day of slaughter, all fluids will be stored in airtight containers and transported to the Calgary Shepherd landfill for disposal. West Coast Reductions will not accept animal hides, so these will also be stored in airtight containers and taken to the landfill. It is expected that 6 trips to the landfill will be needed weekly. As part of the development permit process, an inspection was conducted of the site. Staff noted a pipe coming from the building beside the slaughter pad that was trenched into the ground and drained down the hill, ending near the water well. The ground was wet at the end of the hose, and when asked about it, the applicants replied that it was for blood and water, but that it was not being used yet. This is not an appropriate means of disposal, and should the application be approved, a condition requiring the proper disposal of animal fluids should be included. So there is some photos of the pipe. So here we have the drainage into the bucket, and here's the standalone sink, and here is the pipe that we noticed coming from the building. Right here on page 39. Sorry, it's page, 39. And then you can see that it drains down the hill, and it was wet at the end. Traffic and access. A traffic impact letter was submitted in support of the application. There were no concerns raised other than the comment about the approach. Some background. Details regarding an investigation that took place in 2024 are included on page 13 and 14, as well as some details about the site inspection that staff completed on April 29th for your consideration. Staff's recommendation is on pages 14 and 15. An examination of the application in relation to county policies may be found within the policy analysis section of this report and form the basis for staff's recommendation. Staff considered the fact that the proposed operation has both an agricultural and an industrial component, which are both supported by the MDP and the LUB in principle. However, several areas of concern remained, including servicing, land use conflicts, odor and visual impacts, excuse me, aesthetics and development standards, and environmental impacts, concerns for the natural area and environment, and ongoing oversight of this facility. As such, staff have recommended refusal of this application. As found on pages 15 and 16, we have included 6 reasons for refusal. So the reasons I will go through. Number 1, the municipal development plan requires consideration of the broader area context when assessing applications. The applicant landowner has not demonstrated due consideration and regard for affected neighbors or the environment. Number 2, the proposal does not align with the criteria in MDP 3.7.2, which would allow new single-lot commercial and industrial proposals that are limited in scope and scale due to environmental impacts, concerns with responsible waste disposal, mitigation of visual impacts, and lack of appropriate facilities for water or wastewater. Number 3, the impact of adding an on-farm slaughter operation does not align with the MDP guiding principles, respecting natural landscape features and environmentally sensitive areas. As it is a detriment to the aesthetic, environmental, and financial value of the area, it risks causing disturbances to water bodies, drainage courses, steep slopes, and sensitive vegetation. Number 4, the application cannot be defined wholly as an agricultural operation. Therefore, higher standards should be applied to associated buildings and infrastructure. This includes, but is not limited to, water and wastewater servicing, visual impacts, aesthetics and development standards, and environmental impacts. Number 5, on-farm slaughter operations are a rather new type of development within Wheatland County, and the land use bylaw does not sufficiently account for their operation. Further work will need to be be completed to properly define this specific type of activity within the land use bylaw. More specific definitions and guidelines will assist in determining what is required for a development permit application and what conditions are appropriate. Number 6, when considering any discretionary use, the development authority must have regard to the use of land and patterns of human settlement and maintaining and improving the quality of the physical environment without infringing on the rights of individuals for any public interest, as well as the greater public interest. The applicant has not sufficiently demonstrated that these concerns can be successfully mitigated. It is not in the interest of the county or its residents to accept the potential risks associated with this development. MPC has the standard 3 response options to consider. Should MPC choose to approve the application, staff have prepared a set of conditions for your review. And that concludes my presentation. Please let me know if you have questions.
Thank you, Suzanne. MPC's wishes? Yes, Member Kester.
I move that Municipal Planning Commission refuse DP 2025-004 for an abattoir subject to the following conditions as listed 1 through 6, I believe.
Thank you. Discussion? Yes, Member Clausen.
I'll be supporting this motion. We've had a few of these in the county in the last little while. So the province made a rule and we're feeling the effects of it. And hopefully that rule will be adjusted or changed in the future. But right now we can't change what the province does, but we have a responsibility for land use in the area. And it is discretionary. So when I look at this, I think how far the ranchers have come and through BSE and things like that, and this seems to be like a step back with these kind of applications. I deal with, and I'm in the trucking industry, I deal with food on a regular basis. I can tell when an abattoir in Strathmore is slaughtering or killing, they have to have an inspector on site. They cannot do that unless there's an inspector on site. That is for human consumption, but these things have already had issues, and it just seems like a step back. I think we have to do our part in making it better.
Thank you. Yes, Member LaPriest.
I agree. I think we're a little bit behind on our own planning in this respect. I think we need to do some work to create some guidelines around it. I am concerned about some of the things that were outlined in the report, like the environment, like the oversight, like the water and wastewater servicing. I think for me, on-farm slaughter means you live on the farm, and and I really do think it should just be only for your own personal use. For me, this could be a really good thing to take to RMA or ASB to try to advocate to the province to tighten up what they are considering on-farm slaughter operations. And I think, yeah, until we kind of get our own land planning in place, I think we need to refuse this one.
Thank you. Yes, Member Kester.
I'll ask for a recorded vote. Hopefully we can get it unanimous so we can send a message out.
Thank you. We'll ask for a recorded vote. Any other discussion? I just want to say I want to thank you very much for the work the administration has done on this. This On-Farm Slaughter Act is probably one of the worst pieces of legislation I've ever encountered. I've studied it, I've read it. It was put together by a bureaucrat in Edmonton, and I've got a question for administration. This operation has been going, because we have photographs of what they've been doing before they had this DP. So how do we stop this from, like I would assume that these individuals will continue doing what they're doing because they were doing what they were doing.
The county has our normal enforcement measures that we can use, which is stop order, and we can also issue fines. So those are some of the methods that we could use. And we could, I am not sure if we report them to Alberta Agriculture, who does tell them that they should check with the municipality, but they did already approve their license. So in any case, we would report them.
Okay, thank you. I think it's incumbent on everybody on this that's sitting on this commission to reach out to their MLAs, to reach out to the province, because we in the county of Wheatland are an agricultural, we are a farming, ranching community. And I think, and maybe we have to do this on a local level, maybe we have to figure out what is a farm. Like, I know that I cannot put in a non-farm or a feedlot without going through the Alberta government, without passing all sorts of regulations, but I have to have a piece of land. I can't put a feedlot on a rental property, and that's a good thing. I know that that the reason they put this bill together was so that people that were raising their own animals could sell their own animals. I believe that's what it was. And now this thing is morphed into an operation. They give out a license so that I can have an on-farm slaughter deal, and I might not even be a farmer. Like, it's relatively easy to figure out that if in order for me to buy, to access dyed fuel, I have to be a farmer. I have to fill out the forms. I have to be a farmer. I have to do X amount of business every year, and I have to do this. And I don't understand why it can't be something similar to that. And I believe that this is the way we have to talk to the government about. There has to be hard and fast rules. Just because I want to do something doesn't mean that I should be able to do something. So I will definitely be supporting this motion. I believe that it is imperative that staff, if there's any complaints, that we get immediately look into these complaints. The people that are in the area that are being affected by this, they deserve to have some peace of mind that just because I want to do something doesn't mean I can do something. That there has to be more, there has to be harder and fast rules for this. So anyways, that's my diagram. Yes, Member Clausen.
Just one question to staff along those lines of discussion. With the ONS farm slaughter permit issued by the province, are we notified of these in our county when they're issued? It'd be a simple thing. We'd at least get a heads up that they're coming.
I don't know as we are as a general rule, but I have a line of communication with the permitting person. So we go back and forth whenever either of us hears of anything, but I don't know in overall if we are notified.
It's a simple solution to at least give a heads up of what's going on, and it sounds like there is some, but they need to have an official, this must be issued to the municipalities that it's coming in. So at least, I'm sure we're not the only county that has this problem. In fact, I know we're not. So, thank you.
Yes, Member Kester.
Just because the province issues a permit doesn't make it legal. You still have to come to the county and get a development permit. I think the province it's an easy way for them not to have to make a decision. Let the county do it. And there was a comment made, it's a way for farmers to sell their produce. I don't think you can sell on-farm slaughter meat. It has to be used by the individual, and I haven't really asked questions, but I think that individual has to be an owner or associate, family member at the latest. I don't think anybody from off the street can come and say, hey, no, it's too murky for me, and that's why I can't support it.
All very good discussion. If there's no more discussion, I'll call the vote, a recorded vote. All in favor? Let the voting show that everyone on the commission voted in favor of that. Thank you. We will move on to subdivision applications. We'll start with SD 2025-001.
Good morning, committee members. Seven Kuntz on behalf of administration. Presenting item SD 2025-001. Today, this is a proposal to create a 3-acre parcel with a 24.02 acre remainder. Committee may recall these lands from the May 20th council meeting. At that time, a 3-acre portion of the lands were redesignated from agriculture general to country residential district in order to support this proposed subdivision. The lands are located 4.5 kilometers northeast of the town of Strathmore, immediately northwest of the intersection of Range Road 244 and Township Road 250. Lot 2 is developed with farmstead and accessory buildings and is serviced by existing water and wastewater infrastructure. It is accessed by 2 gravel approaches, one each to Range Road 244 to the east and Township Road 250 to the south. Lot 1 is currently undeveloped. The proposed use is residential, serviced by on-site private water and wastewater systems. Requires a new gravel approach to Township Road 250. The applicant submitted a groundwater assessment, wastewater servicing report, and a site-specific stormwater implementation plan in support of their proposal. Groundwater assessment and wastewater servicing report indicated that suitable groundwater resources and an area suitable for the installation of an on-site wastewater treatment system are available. The site-specific stormwater implementation plan indicated that net discharge of stormwater from the site will be less than pre-development levels, provided that the recommended considerations for reducing runoff from the site have been constructed. The proposal is consistent with the agricultural policies of the municipal development plan, which consider environmental impacts and conflict mitigation between agricultural and other land uses. Proposal is evaluated against the criteria for subdivision, aligning with policies 3.1.2.5 A through H. Further, the proposal does not exceed the 20-acre maximum non-agricultural area for a quarter section. An additional lot will result in a total of 5 parcels within the quarter section. Municipal reserve dedication is outstanding. Administration is recommending dedication of MR by cash in lieu for Lot 1, as the size limits further subdivision potential. MR may be required for Lot 2 as it's less than 16 hectares in size. However, further subdivision may be possible in accordance with MDP and land use bylaw requirements, those being if there was pipe servicing and a new area structure plan in the future. So administration is recommending deferral of MR for Lot 2 by a deferred reserve caveat. So in conclusion, the proposed parcel size is consistent with the site regulations in the country residential district. It's an appropriate district for the proposed parcel size and intended use of the lands. Administration is recommending that MPC approve SD 2025-001, subject to the conditions noted in the planning report. Concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. MPC's wishes. Yes, Member Clausen.
I move that the Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision application SD 2025-001, subject to the conditions 1 through 8 in the package.
Thank you. Discussion? Yes, Member Kester.
I know deferring the MR on the other piece. Oh, come on. An ad popped up on my computer. Deferring it for further possible subdivision. When I look at that parcel, I don't know if I guess it would be possible to subdivide it. I don't know. We have the opportunity to take MR on it today. I'm just wondering to myself, what is the possibility of future subdivision? Time they'd have to put an approach in there and make a long skinny road. I don't know, I think I'm in favor of MR on the whole parcel.
So a question for myself and just to administration is, what do we do with the funds we get from MR?
Through the chair to the committee, 75% goes to reserves for future schools, and 25% go to open space path projects for the county.
So we have a,
I'll make that amendment that we charge MR on. Make that another condition, I guess. That would be the thing to do. Add a condition, we accept, request MR on the entire,
Hello, this is
for
Karen
lot
Smith.
2, I think it's.
I'm the landowner.
We would need to amend
Yeah.
8.
so I would guess that has to go back, then it would be whether or not Member Clausen would accept that amendment. Is that correct?
I think if we're following council procedure bylaw, it would be, you would need unanimous consent from the commission to the amendment. And if not, you would do the amendment by motion and it would be voted on as a
Right,
separate motion
okay.
prior to considering the original motion.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Yep.
If administration could speak to their recommendation versus the proposed amendment.
Absolutely. Through the chair, yeah. So the reason typically you defer it as long as possible, it is certainly a weird site, but that's when it's kind of important to have that flexibility with municipal reserve. I know usually we end up taking it as cash in lieu, but there can be situations where it's actually taken for its intended purpose. That would be the actual land. So whether that's a school site or a park or a pathway or those type of things. Because there's already 5 parcels, there's going to be 5 parcels once it's approved in this quarter section. Any further development they would do would have to have the pipe servicing and an area structure plan or area concept plan. So that would only be feasible if it were kind of smaller lots. So if they were to do some kind of development, it would be like a smaller lot pipe service type thing. And in those type of situations, whether or not today it seems likely, I mean, obviously probably not, but in 20 years, it might be more of a likely consideration. And at that time, it may be more advantageous to have that flexibility in order to have, like I said, a pathway or a park or something like that in that area. And if not, then certainly the land value would have increased at that point in time.
I'm speaking for myself. I'm not comfortable going against. I like your the reasoning for why we would defer that. So I guess I would make I put a vote up if there's any opposition to putting MR on the second lot, and if there's if it's not unanimous.
So I think you would have, yeah, if it's not unanimous, then I think you would go to a vote to vote on the motion to amend the original motion. So we would be voting either in favor or opposed to, I guess it would be that the municipal reserve, we'd need to give administration some time to draft the wording, but be collected now essentially.
Right. So because I'm in opposition of it, then I guess it would go directly, so I don't need to call any, because it won't be unanimous. Then I need administration to sort of guide me through this next step. There can be a motion put on the floor. I'm not sure what how the motion would read though.
So I believe, and Sherry, maybe stop me if I'm incorrect here, but what you could do is Councillor Kester could make a motion to amend condition 8, as I have it here. So that would require both lots 1 and 2 to pay the MR now. So if he makes that motion, then you could all vote on whether or not to amend it. If it passes, then that you can then decide to approve based on those. And if it doesn't, then it would be as originally proposed.
So would we have any idea how much extra this would cost the landowner?
Through the chair, 1 second.
Thank you.
Through the chair. So if I have this correct, so the remainder lot is 24 acres in size. So 10% of that would be 2.4 acres. The per acre value, as per the appraisal, was 13,000. So essentially, so 31,000 approximately would be the just for lot 2.
Thank you. Yes, Member Kester.
Just so we're clear, my motion was to amend condition 8, just as it is on the board. And this is the 5th parcel of the quarter, likelihood in the near future, slim. And in the extended future, I would also say probably slim too. You only get one chance to get MR. And if you defer it and it doesn't happen, you miss it forever.
Yes, Member Clausen.
Thanks. I'm not in favor of the amendment. And the reason being is if we're going to do things like this, I think it should be consistent and change the policy. So it's automatic, doesn't matter. We just take it. But for it can be used to slow down development. It can be used to put another roadblock in front of, and I'm just not in favor of that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Member Kester.
I don't believe there's a policy on that, on charging MR. You charge MR by a motion right here at subdivision. You can charge it or not charge it. We don't have a policy that we just do one parcel or we do 2 parcels. It's open for discussion on each parcel we do. It is governed by provincial regulation on which parcels we can charge it on. And in this case, we can charge it on the whole thing.
I will be voting against this. The reason is that this will be anti-growth. This is going to make people not want to do subdivisions. And I believe that subdivisions in certain areas of this county, mostly the west side, are probably a good thing. So I will be voting against it. It's just, I just think it's just too onerous to, I just think it's anti-growth. Yes, Member Link.
Question to administration. In terms of consistency, is the recommendation from administration typically what administration would recommend in this scenario where it's 5th parcel?
Through the chair, yes. Essentially, as long as there's some sort of potential development potential, then yes, it's usually a better idea to kind of defer that as far as possible.
Yes, Member Bigger.
To administration, the applicant would have seen what was brought to council
Through the chair, yes.
and all the amendments, yeah. Was this reserve, or was this reserve ever discussed with them that it?
Through the chair, it was, my apologies, Jessica was the applicant or the file manager. I don't believe lot 2 MR would have been discussed with them, but certainly like the conditions for, as presented, would have been provided to them.
I kind of agree with Member Clausen, is that it should be something that's an automatic discussed with the applicant before bringing it to council, so they have a decision to make financially whether this is the road they want to go on. Thank you.
Yes, Member Kester.
Being this is the 5th lot, if there's any more further subdivisions on this parcel, has to be piped water and sewer. That would therefore make lot 1 subdivisible again. So why don't we wait to charge MR on that in case it comes piped water and sewer? My original motion stands, and I would request a recorded vote.
Yes, Member LaPriest.
Another question for administration. If all of a sudden there was a need for a new school in the county and they decided to build it here, could they donate land in lieu of paying a cash?
Through the chair to the committee, the way it works, they wouldn't just pick, we work in coordination with the school, but when we have a larger subdivision and it's due to the population area, they will identify a site and they have a certain size requirement for elementary, middle school, and high schools. And so if they select a site, need to purchase it, they would work, and that's what we hold the reserves for, is for new schools. And they have the option to come to the county at that time. But typically, they wouldn't come to this, if we're speaking in this area for the smaller site, this wouldn't be one where they would have identified. They would look at a bigger area where the draw of students would be coming from, and then they would say to us, we would like to see a school in this area.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if there was a reason not to keep it in reserve, so to speak.
Through the chair. So the other reason obviously would be for parks and pathways and that type of thing. So again, because if it's going to be any type of development's going to happen there, it's going to have to be the piped, so it's going to be smaller lots. If that's the case, like I said, maybe a pathway, maybe a small park might be appropriate in that area. So that would be obviously why to have that retain that value to claim the lands at that time.
Well, I guess I'm going to be opposed just because there is still a potential, however small it is.
So I'm aware of, just off the top of my head, in the last 4 or 5 MPC meetings that we have subdivided to the 5th parcel multiple times. Like, so theoretically, how much money, if we're going to go, if this is strictly a money grab, how much money have we left on the table? I mean, do we want at this council or at this commission, do we want to sit down there and figure out how much money can we actually wring from this stone? How much, still living, so let's give another poke at it. Yes, Member Link.
If I may, perhaps a suggestion to consider the motions on the floor, and then perhaps a motion requesting council review the relevant sections of the land use bylaw and MDP regarding this situation. I think administration has provided us a recommendation based on our current regulatory framework and based on consistency with past practices. I think there's always merit in reviewing those practices and looking at the pros and cons of our current practice and any potential amendments that council may want to consider. For me, my preference is to make the decision consistent with previous practice until there's been that sort of review of the regulatory framework and a potential amendment. I do think this is a good thing to examine, but our administration works based on sort of the policy direction that we have set, as well as our applicants work on based off of those frameworks as well and the expectations that they lay out. So I do think there's merit in reviewing this and reviewing the likelihood of further development and the benefits of generating revenue versus holding that land and potentially generating more revenue in the future depending on how development goes. But MPC doesn't have the jurisdiction to sort of approve that or consider that regulatory framework. That needs to go to council. Thank you.
Thank you very much for steering me back in the right direction. We have a motion in front of us. It's on our screen. We'll call for a recorded vote. All those in favor, let the vote show. Member Kester and Member Larson are in favor. All those opposed, Member Clausen, Member Link, Member Laprice, Member Bigger, and Member Eichert are opposed. That fails, so we'll go back to our original motion. And any more discussion on that? If not, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That passes 5-2. Thank you. That takes care of SD 2025-01. We'll go to SD 2025-004.
Good morning, MPC. Taylor Feltz here with the county's Planning and Development Services team to present the next two following subdivision applications. Referring to page 97 of your agenda package, this first application is located 4.5 kilometers southeast of the hamlet of Nightingale, southeast of the intersection of Township Road 252 and Range Road 244, and immediately east of Range Road 244. SD 2025-004 proposes to create two 5-acre parcels and a 129.51 acre remainder. The proposal considers the 4th and 5th parcels to be subdivided from the quarter section, each of which will remain in the agricultural general land use district if approved. The remainder, lot 3, is used for agricultural purposes and accesses Township Road 252 to the north via 4 gravel approaches and Range Road 244 via 2 existing gravel approaches to the west. All of the existing approaches will require inspections if improvements are identified, they'll need to be completed prior to endorsement. Lots 1 and 2 are currently undeveloped and therefore don't have any servicing infrastructure in place. Servicing is proposed by means of a water well and private sewage treatment system. The applicants provided appropriate studies indicating that lots 1 and 2 are suitable for future on-site private water and wastewater servicing. The proposed lots will require new approaches to access Range Road 244 to the west. A joint approach may be suitable, but that'll be determined based on a site inspection when we're at that stage. There is a low-lying wetland, which you can see is located immediately east of lots 1 and 2. It was suggested through the engineering review that a limited site-specific stormwater implementation plan be provided at the development permit stage to ensure that new buildings don't negatively impact existing drainage and consider post-development conditions when citing future building envelopes. Reserves are outstanding in accordance with the MGA and Section 7.2 of the county's planning policies for each lots 1 and 2 and have been captured in the recommended conditions of approval. The proposal generally aligns with the municipal development plan, specifically the agricultural policies found under section 3. The proposal doesn't exceed the 20-acre maximum non-agricultural area of the quarter section and will not result in more than 5 parcels within the quarter section. Policy 3.1.2.5H notes that the proposals should minimize the impact to agricultural lands by avoiding cultivated areas. Lots 1 and 2 are currently cultivated. However, the landowner indicated in their application that this low-lying area contains alkaline soils that are not conducive to agricultural yields, and this conclusion is supported by the provincial land suitability database. The supporting documents provided by the applicants demonstrate that the proposal offers a suitable building site and can be developed without having adverse impacts on the environment or neighboring properties. Landowners within a 1-mile radius of the subject site and third-party agencies were notified of the application. 3 letters of concern were provided and have been added to the agenda package starting on page 101. And administration is making the recommendation that MPC approves SD 2025-004, subject to the conditions 1 through 9 found on pages 91 and 92. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Taylor. MPC's wishes. Yes, Member Clausen.
Just a question because there's some legal stuff in here and I'm pretty sure it answers the question. Does the applicant have power of attorney to do this?
The application was made by the powers of attorney and had the authority to submit the application. We've since found out that the landowner has passed away. So in the coming weeks, it'll be determined who has the authority to move forward with the application in terms of addressing the conditions. The person who has the legal authority to submit an application for an approach inspection, for example, would be determined at that point.
Thank you.
Well, I'm waiting for MPC's wishes. Yes, Member Clausen.
I'll make the motion that Municipal Planning Commission approve the subdivision application 2025-004 with conditions 1 through 9. And speaking to what's recently happened, I'm really sorry to hear that. But with what's in front of us, the legal documents say it's legal to do so. So I can't make my judgment on anything else that I don't know. And we're not judges or lawyers here, so we just make the decision on what's presented to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Clausen. Discussion. Seeing and hearing none, I will call the vote. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? That passes 5-2. Thank you. We'll move on to SD 2025-005.
Taylor Felt here again with administration presenting SD 2025-005. Referring to page 122 of the agenda package, the subject lands are located 2.3 kilometers north of the town of Strathmore, immediately southeast of the intersection of Range Road 253 and Township Road 250. The application proposes to create proposes to increase the area of Lot 1 by adjusting the boundaries of Lots 1 and 2, resulting in a 14-acre parcel and a 145-acre remainder. Council approved bylaw 2025-08 on May 20th, which redesignated Lot 1 from the Country Residential District to the Agricultural General District in order to align the proposal with the land use bylaw requirements. The owners of Lot 1 intend to acquire the additional land, identified as Lot 2A on the diagram I have up on the screen here, to provide extra pasture land for their horses. There's no immediate plans for new buildings or structures on this land, and it will continue to be used for agricultural purposes. The surrounding area is predominantly agricultural as well, with the closest country residential parcel being directly north of Township Road 250 and a confined feedlot located about 800 meters northeast. In terms of development and servicing, both lots 1 and 2 are developed with dwellings, accessory buildings, and serviced by separate wells and private sewage treatment systems. Lot 1 accesses the transportation network by an existing approach to Township Road 250, while Lot 2 accesses both Township Road 250 and Range Road 253. All of the existing approaches will require inspections, and any improvements will need to be completed prior to endorsement. Registration of a road acquisition agreement is only required along Range Road 253 at this time, as land was acquired around Township Road 250 recently, and this right-of-way meets county standards. Backsloping agreements and easements are required along both Range Road 253 and Township Road 250, and this has been captured in the recommended conditions of approval. Lot 2, as we can see on the screen, does contain a significant wetland system, although it's not anticipated that the natural functions will be impacted by the proposal. The proposal generally aligns with the municipal development plan, specifically the agricultural policies found in Section 3. The application isn't facilitating the creation of a new parcel. Rather, it's intended just to increase the size of Lot 1 to continue agricultural pursuits on the land. Landowners with 1 mile of the subject site and third-party agencies were notified of the application, and comments have been provided and are included on page 118 of the agenda package. Administration is making the recommendation that MPC approves SD 2025-005, subject to conditions 1 through 6 on page 117. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Taylor. MPC's wishes? Yes, Member Clausen.
It's all Division 5 today. I make the motion that Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision application SD 2025-005, subject to conditions 1 through 6 in the package.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That passes. Thank you very much. I don't believe there's any other planning matters. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.